Chasing passive income in your 50s isn't financial freedom, it's financial suicide. Wall Street is feeding you a devastating lie designed to quietly drain your life savings. Watch until the end to uncover the brutal strategy they pray you never find out before your retirement collapses. Picture this. It is a quiet Tuesday morning. You are 58 years old, sitting on your porch with a steaming cup of dark roast coffee. The neighborhood around you is completely silent, emptied out by the souls marching off to the daily grind of the 9-to-5 commute. There is no alarm clock screaming in your ear, no passive-aggressive emails from a micromanager half your age. Your bills are on autopilot, your medical insurance is fully funded, and you look at your portfolio to see an impenetrable fortress. This is the ultimate dream of financial freedom, isn't it? The pristine endgame society promised you. But what if I told you that for the vast majority of people over 50, this exact dream is a carefully engineered trap? What if I told you that chasing this tranquil morning the way society dictates will not lead to a fortress, but to a devastating financial collapse that leaves you destitute in your 70s? Money Glow Up 02 welcomes you to the harsh, unfiltered truth of wealth building. If you are ready to swallow the bitter medicine that will actually cure your financial disease, hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel and give us the fuel to keep bringing you the raw strategies Wall Street prays you never hear. Now, let me abruptly shatter the delusion that the wealth industry has spoon-fed you since you spotted your first gray hair. That quiet, wealthy morning does not materialize from launching a trendy crypto app. And unless your last name is Rockefeller, it certainly does not come from a trust fund. The wealth required to secure your twilight years is built in the brutal trenches through calculated, ruthless execution. Yet there is a toxic, pervasive fiction being peddled to people crossing the threshold of 50. It is the most dangerous piece of financial engineering in modern history, the immediate pursuit of so-called passive income. You have heard the gospel. The moment you hit middle age, the gurus tell you to aggressively pivot. They urge you to drain your life savings to buy a rental property, throw everything into dividend stocks, or become a silent partner in a local business, all so you can let your money work for you while you sleep. I am here to tell you, human to human, that buying into this lie at age 50 is the financial equivalent of stepping on a hidden landmine. For the 50-plus demographic, chasing passive income from a standing start is not a sophisticated wealth-building strategy. It is a recipe for a dead cat bounce, offering a brief, intoxicating illusion of progress followed by an unrecoverable crash. When you fall for the passive income myth in your 50s, you are willingly trading the absolute most crucial, high-productivity earning decade left in your natural life for a mirage. You are taking the very last bullet in your chamber and firing it blindly into the dark. If you miss, and the statistical probability is that you will, there is no reset button. There is no time machine to help you rebuild. You will find yourself playing a game of deadly financial Jenga, anxiously pulling blocks from your retirement foundation to cover the costs of your failing passive investments until the entire structure collapses into dust. Today, we are tearing down this dangerous facade once and for all. We will dissect the brutal, practical wealth-building strategy engineered specifically for those staring down the barrel of 50 and beyond. We are going to explore the 3 core differences that permanently separate the ultimate winners from the quietly bankrupt. And we will uncover the one fundamental truth about your own human capital that the modern financial complex desperately hopes you never figure out. Keep your eyes open and listen closely, because it is time to stop suffocating on a pile of cash that generates pennies and start building actual, undeniable wealth. To understand why you must stop suffocating on cash that generates pennies, we first have to examine the brutal arithmetic of trying to buy a passive income stream in your 50s. The internet is flooded with charismatic influencers pitching the utopian dream of living off dividends, rental yields, and automated businesses. But they conveniently omit the chilling reality of scale. If you are starting this transition at 50, you do not have 30 years for compound interest to do the heavy lifting, which means you are entirely dependent on your principal capital. Let us look at the cold, hard math that Wall Street glosses over. A standard, relatively safe dividend portfolio, or a modest rental property, might yield a 4 to 5% return if you are lucky and manage it flawlessly. If you want to generate a mere $40,000 a year to live on, a sum that barely covers property taxes, medical premiums, and groceries in today's inflationary nightmare, you need $1 million in liquid, deployable capital. The tragedy unfolds when a 50-something, realizing they only have $300,000 saved, panics. The desperation to bridge that mathematical gap pushes them out on the risk curve. Suddenly, they are not buying stable blue-chip companies. They are chasing double-digit yields in speculative junk bonds, highly leveraged real estate syndications, or volatile crypto staking platforms. They are taking capital that took them 3 decades of sweat and sacrifice to accumulate and pushing it to the center of a casino table. I have sat across the desk from brilliant, hard-working people who lost half their life savings in less than 18 months because they were sold the lie that they could fast-track passive income. At this stage in your life, volatility is not just a temporary dip on a chart, it is a fatal wound. When you lose 40% of your portfolio at age 30, you just keep working and let the market recover over a decade. When you suffer that same loss at 55, the mathematical probability of recovery approaches 0. You are forced into a corner, cannibalizing your remaining principal just to keep the lights on, accelerating a death spiral that ends with you relying entirely on an underfunded government pension. The financial industry knows this. They know that late-stage passive investing is largely a fee-generating machine for them, not a life raft for you. Your 50s are not the time to become a passive passenger in your own financial life. They are the time to step into the pilot's seat with absolute, unapologetic aggression, refusing to surrender your hard-earned capital to the altar of hands-off convenience. Once you accept that the math of passive income is fundamentally rigged against the late starter, you can finally begin to study what the actual winners do differently. Over years of observing the quiet millionaires, the ones who actually reach their 70s with impenetrable financial fortresses, I have noticed they do not operate on luck, and they certainly do not follow mainstream advice. They operate on a completely different psychological framework, defined by 3 stark differences. The first difference is an absolute, almost fanatical obsession with capital preservation over speculative yield. The bankrupt play a desperate game of catch-up, swinging for the fences with high-risk investments because they feel they are running out of time. The winners, however, recognize that the money they already have is their most sacred resource. They understand that a boring, protected portfolio that matches inflation is infinitely superior to a high-yield gamble that risks a catastrophic drawdown. They do not care about outperforming the S&P 500. They care about never waking up to find their retirement runway cut in half. They build massive cash buffers, lock in guaranteed returns, and ruthlessly eliminate bad debt, ensuring that no matter what the global economy does, they cannot be forced to sell assets at a loss. The second difference lies in how they view their income generation. The bankrupt try to replace their salary by buying passive assets they do not understand, essentially handing their money over to strangers and hoping for the best. The winners do the exact opposite. They double down on highly active, incredibly specialized income generation. Instead of buying a struggling laundromat, they take the skills they have honed over 30 years in their corporate career and transition into high-margin consulting, freelance contracting, or niche advisory roles. They retain total control. They realize that their active ability to generate cash is a far safer, higher-yielding asset than any real estate investment trust on the market. The third, and perhaps most vital difference, is their mastery over the sequence of returns risk. This is a concept the financial gurus almost never discuss because it is not sexy, but it is the silent killer of retirements. The bankrupt assume the market will always average an 8% return, entirely ignoring what happens if a massive recession hits the exact year they stop working. If you start pulling money from a plummeting portfolio, you permanently destroy your baseline capital. The winners anticipate this disaster. They construct a financial bridge, usually 3 to 5 years of living expenses sitting in completely liquid, risk-free accounts. If the market crashes the day they turn 60, they do not panic. They do not sell a single stock. They simply live off their cash bridge while the bankrupt are forced to liquidate their portfolios at rock bottom. The winners survive the storm because they built their ship for a hurricane, while everyone else built theirs for a gentle breeze. Internalizing these three stark differences clears the financial fog. But to truly execute this strategy, you must weaponize the single greatest asset you still possess. Society has conditioned you to believe that crossing the half-century mark means your best years are in the rearview mirror. The corporate world subtly pushes you toward the exit, favoring 20-something tech-savvy graduates willing to burn the midnight oil for a fraction of your salary. This insidious ageism brainwashes millions of older adults into believing their human capital is depreciating, leaving them feeling obsolete and desperate to replace their income with passive investments. I am here to tell you that this is the greatest, most tragic lie of all. Your human capital at 50 is not depreciating. It has fundamentally transmuted into something far more valuable. At 25, your value was derived from infinite energy and a willingness to blindly execute orders. At 55, your value is derived from pattern recognition, deeply entrenched industry networks, and the quiet, lethal competence that only comes from surviving decades of corporate warfare and market cycles. You possess a specialized wisdom that simply cannot be taught in a seminar or coded into an algorithm. You know how to read a room, how to negotiate a contract without letting ego blow the deal, and how to spot a failing strategy from a mile away because you have already lived through it 3 times. The fundamental truth the financial complex hopes you never realize is that this accumulated wisdom is the highest yielding asset you will ever own. When you pivot from being a standard employee to an elite, active problem solver, you can command premium compensation for a fraction of the time. You do not need to work 60 hours a week anymore. You can work 20 hours a week, solving complex, high-stakes problems for businesses that desperately need a steady hand at the wheel, and make more money than you ever did in your 20s. This is how you bridge the gap. You do not drain your life savings to buy a risky rental property. You leverage your brain, your scars, and your Rolodex. By shifting your mindset from retiring early to working smarter and on your own terms, you create a massive, reliable stream of active income that requires zero upfront financial capital. You become the yield. Recognizing the raw, untamed power of your accumulated experience is the catalyst that transforms this entire philosophy into a concrete, unstoppable blueprint. This is where we stop theorizing and start laying the bricks of your actual financial fortress. The roadmap for your 50s and 60s is not about sipping margaritas on a beach while your bank account magically refills itself. It is about aggressive control, intentional labor, and bulletproof defense. First, you must completely decouple your self-worth from the traditional retirement timeline. Erase the age of 65 from your mind. The goal is not to stop working. The goal is to stop being dependent on a single, fragile source of income. You must transition your career from a defensive crouch into an offensive strike. Take that high-level expertise you just identified and start monetizing it outside of your primary W-2 job. Build a consulting practice, join a board of directors, or mentor younger entrepreneurs for equity. Keep the active cash flowing on your own terms, which instantly relieves the pressure on your investment portfolio. Simultaneously, you must ruthlessly audit your balance sheet. This is the decade where ego must die. Downsize the house if it is an anchor. Wipe out every single cent of consumer debt and build that multi-year cash bridge we talked about. Your expenses must become incredibly lean, not out of poverty, but out of power. A low overhead is the ultimate financial weapon. It gives you the ability to walk away from toxic clients, toxic bosses, and desperate investment decisions. When you do not owe anyone anything, you are truly free. Finally, let your investments be boring. Accept that the time for getting rich quick is over and embrace the era of staying rich forever. Put your capital into broad, diversified, low-cost index funds and government bonds. Let the market do what it does without your emotional interference. This is the bitter medicine, but it is the only cure. It requires rolling up your sleeves when society tells you to lie down. It requires rejecting the seductive, easy path of passive income and embracing the dignified, powerful path of active mastery and capital preservation. If you execute this blueprint with cold, clinical discipline, that quiet Tuesday morning on the porch will not be an illusion. It will be real, it will be paid for, and it will be yours to keep until your very last breath. Take control of your human capital. Protect your wealth like a guard dog, and let the rest of the world play their foolish games. Your fortress awaits. The illusion of effortlessly living off passive income in your 50s is a dangerous financial trap designed to drain your hard-earned capital. When you start late, you lack the luxury of time and compound interest necessary to recover from catastrophic market losses. Chasing high-yield, speculative investments out of panic will only accelerate your path to financial ruin. True financial independence in your later years demands a radical shift away from mainstream advice. You must prioritize aggressive capital preservation over chasing returns, understanding that protecting the money you already have is infinitely more important than risking it all for a few extra percentage points. The ultimate weapon in your arsenal is not a risky real estate syndicate or a volatile crypto asset. It is your own human capital. The decades of scars, corporate survival, and specialized wisdom you possess are incredibly valuable. By transitioning from a traditional employee to a high-margin, active problem solver, you can generate substantial income on your own terms without risking your principal wealth. Couple this specialized active income with a ruthless elimination of debt, a multi-year cash bridge to protect against market downturns, and a boring, low-cost investment portfolio. This is the ultimate blueprint for autonomy. It demands rejecting the seductive fairy tale of doing nothing and instead embracing a disciplined, defensive, and fiercely active approach to your wealth. By executing this, you build an impenetrable financial fortress that guarantees your freedom and peace of mind for the rest of your life. The greatest financial asset you will ever own is not a stock portfolio or a piece of real estate. It is your accumulated lived experience, resilience, and specialized wisdom. Society often equates aging with obsolescence, but in the realm of wealth preservation, aging is the acquisition of quiet, lethal competence. Financial peace is rarely found in the frantic pursuit of high returns. It is secured through bulletproof defense, eliminating debt, and recognizing that you are the highest-yielding asset in your portfolio. Start by conducting a brutal audit of both your finances and your professional value. First, identify the one specific, high-value skill you have mastered over your career and find a way to monetize it independently, whether through consulting, freelancing, or advising, so you no longer rely entirely on a single employer. Second, kill your ego and slash your overhead. Pay off all consumer debt, downsize if necessary, and immediately begin building a liquid cash bridge equal to 3 to 5 years of living expenses to eliminate the sequence of returns risk. Finally, stop trying to beat the market with your life savings. Move your investments into boring, low-cost index funds and focus your energy on generating active income on your own terms. What is one high-value skill or unique experience you have acquired over your career that you could turn into an independent income stream today? Please share your thoughts and ideas in the comments section below so our community can learn from your perspective. If you found value in this financial blueprint and want to continue building your wealth and mindset, please hit the subscribe button. Your support gives us the incredible motivation to keep creating deep, actionable content just like this.